This video is going to cover a couple of things. If you want to make your own letter, like in other words, if you looked through all the letters on that image and you want to create your own, this is going to show you how you can do that. I'm also going to show you how you can slightly edit something. Let's say you spelt something wrong, or that you wanted to make any changes in a letter, in a word. So let's say this word tact. Let's say you spelt it wrong. Let's say you needed to move something over, but you might notice that you have set it up and merged these layers together. If you want to replace a letter, what you can do is you can select just the one letter or the one area that you want, and you can go ahead and lay a via cut. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So we're on the layer that has tact, and we just selected the T from tact. If you right click, and instead of lay a via copy, which will give you a copy of the T, you're going to lay a via cut. What that'll do is it'll cut it in two pieces. So now if you notice in your layers here, you have that T separated. So it's at that point, if you wanted to move this around or change it or even delete it, you can do that. So to delete it, you just drag this into that little garbage can on the bottom of your layers window. So now if we wanted to replace it, another thing I wanted to show you how to do is to make your own letter. You went through all those letters of that image and you used them all up. You want to try to make your own. So there's two parts that you're going to have to make. You're going to need to make a square, and then you're also going to need to make the letter inside the square. So that's going to require two layers. First thing you can do is you can go to the type tool, the horizontal type tool, and you have this cursor. So I would say find a blank area in your project somewhere and you just click, and you could see that if I just clicked, the cursor shows up, and that's where you can do your typing. Pay attention to the letter color, which would be dictated by the foreground color here. One thing that you might have noticed, and as we start working with these projects you'll use more and more, is if there's a color that you want to lift from your design already, you can certainly bring your cursor out here and you can see that it changes into a little eyedropper. So let's say that I really like this color blue here and I want to duplicate it. If I click on it, you can see now my foreground color selector is picking that particular color. So let's say I'm going to pick something in the blues, but I want it to be darker. I say OK. So now up on top here, we're going to pick the type of font that we want. You can see there's a whole mess of different ones. So you can look through. You can also change the size, and the size is just a comfort level to determine if you can see it or not. So whether you go really, really large or small, doesn't matter as long as you can see it, because you can change that later. So we need the letter T. You could do an uppercase T, you could backspace, or a lowercase t. Doesn't really matter. I like the uppercase, so that's the one I'm going to go for. Once you make it, you can come on top and commit to it. So you notice that this type of layer is a little bit different than the rest of them. At some point we're going to want to simplify this into just a shape layer. To do this, you right click on the layer and you can convert to shape. Okay. So the next thing that we need is this square or this rectangle around the letter. To do this, you're going to go back to this tool. It's called the rectangular marquee tool. What it will allow you to do is to make a selection in the shape of a rectangle. So you see these marching ants around it. We're going to put color in there, but we need to have a blank layer in order to put the color in. We don't want this to exist on any of the other layers. It needs its own. So we're going to make a new layer by going down to the bottom of the layers window and click a new layer. And then we're going to use the paint bucket tool and pour the color in. And you notice that the selection is still here. So we want to pick a color that's different than that dark blue, so we can look through. And once again, if you see like a background that you like, So I'm going to pick this nice grayish kind of color. You can absolutely just use the eyedropper and use one of the colors that exists. We're going to use the paint bucket tool. You can see we have a whole blank layer, layer 39, and we put it in there. To get rid of the marching ants, that selection, we hit Command D for deselect. So now we have these two layers that we need to join together. Now, of course, you want to make sure that the letter is on top of this layer here. So to do this, you just move this up in the layers window. Oh, it's waiting for me to commit. Sorry about that. You just want to move this up like that, and now it's in front. And remember I said don't worry about the size right now. You can change both the size of the letter and the size of the background, the square. So you just want them to fit together. You don't want too much negative space. And so you fit them together. And then after you get them arranged where you want them to be, we're going to merge these two together. Hold down the Command button, and it'll allow you to highlight both of them. Right click, merge layers, and now you have your own letter. So you could do this to as many areas as you want. Move it in place, and then we'll move these guys together. And we connect them together. Merge that T we just made with the other letters for our word, and that's it. Now, as far as punctuation, you can do the same thing if you want to do question marks or periods or dashes. You would do the same exact process. You would use the type tool to type in your what you want it to say, whether it's a period, question mark, comma, and then you would make a surrounding area around it and merge those layers together. So good luck.